Greetings and welcome to our fourth and final lecture for our Unit 8 on Mesoamerica. Today we're going to be looking specifically at the Incas and the Incan Empire, which would be in western South America, the area of the Andes Mountains, present-day Ecuador and Peru. So as normal, make sure you have your chart with you. It's chart 1, and we will be looking at the fourth row at the bottom, dealing with the Incas. I would also recommend that in order to complete that, you take some time to look in the book as well, get some information from there as well as what I'm going to talk about. The book does have a lot more information than what I'm going to cover today, so I do recommend again that you take a look through the book to get some any missing information that might not have been covered during this lecture. And with that, let's get started. So, the Incas, as we can see here, made up part of South America, which would be present-day Peru. They had their capital cities in the area known as the Andes Valley of Cuzco, and they also controlled parts of Ecuador and Chile. So here we have Peru in the green here. The Andes Mountains actually travels from the top of Peru all the way down the coastline through Chile and all the way down to the southern tip where it almost meets up with Argentina. It's one of the longest, actually it is the longest mountain range in the world. Not the biggest, but the longest, from almost the top of South America to the bottom. And the Incas controlled a good portion of that region as well. So they made their headquarters, or their main city, known as Cuzco, which was kind of, let's get here, kind of in the middle here of Peru. Nearby, we'll talk about Machu Picchu, which was just next door, so hold that thought. Two very important cities, which we'll get into some more details later. The fact that Machu Picchu and Cuzco itself were in the Andes Mountains, very high elevation, lots of vegetation because of the mountains and the cool air, so it allowed them to do some agriculture for their survival. Here's kind of another map listing the region, and actually, here we go, Cusco's kind of down here a little bit further south than I just implied it, but pretty close. Just southeast of the capital of Peru, which is Lima today. So there would be Cusco right there. And this orange represents the actual entire empire of the Incas at their height. As we'll learn about later on, this would actually break apart later on in the mid-1500s, roughly, due to some battles and the coming of foreigners. But this is a very large land controlled by the Incas. And remember, this is mostly mountainous area. So that's important to recall. Think about having to have battles and take over control of land, basically over a very mountainous region. Very difficult to do. So the Incas had a way around that, which we'll talk about. So, cities. Capital city was Cuzco. All roads lead to Cuzco. Kind of just like the Rome, which we studied a couple weeks ago. All major roads led to Cuzco. And eventually, as the empire expanded, so did the road system, and those roads would connect to the other roads that led to Cuzco. So literally, all roads led to Cuzco. The heart of the Inca Empire, as I mentioned, was the capital city of Cuzco, where the majority of, or almost all of the government functions took place. As they would conquer, the Incan army would conquer and take over other regions, they would also set up small community-type government buildings in these other cities as well. What's interesting is all these government buildings that they built throughout the empire, in all these cities that they conquered, they were all done in the same style. Just to inform the people and to give it a feeling that this is an empire, it is controlled by this group of people. So no matter what city you were in, if you saw a building that looked like the one back at home, that probably meant it was a government building, because all the government buildings were built to the same type of design so that everybody knew that this is what this building was for. Machu Picchu was believed by some to be a temple or a retreat to celebrate the sun god. It had a central plaza, public buildings. Today they don't really know the real purpose of Machu Picchu. A very beautiful area. It was stumbled upon by chance, and it was cleaned up, and now it's a tourist attraction. But it's believed that it was possibly like a religious retreat for the king or the emperor, who basically was considered a god or a relative of the god, or a son or grandson of the god, depending how far down the line you want to go. But they're not sure if it was just a temple for the sun god, because there were temples there, if it was a retreat for one of the 11 noble families, or for the 11 noble families, or what exactly its purpose was, other than it was designed to look over, or designed large for a lot of people to stay there, as well as it had a couple temples, and it was sitting on the top of a mountain peak. So a very beautiful area. Would have been very beautiful to stay there as a retreat, but they don't really know what its purpose was, other than it doesn't seem like it was designed as a permanent place. When I say that, it was not designed as a city where people would always stay there. It seemed as though it was, like I said, like a retreat, or they would go there only for certain reasons during certain times of the year. It was not designed to be a permanent settlement, as researchers can tell. So, if you ever wondered, there's Cuzco right there. That's where they got the name for Cuzco in the movie The Emperor's New Groove. Cuzco, as we just mentioned, was not a person. He was actually the name of the capital city, but they got the name for the Disney movie from the capital city. Looking at the map on the bottom, you can see some of the cities relating to Cuzco, or relating to the Incan Empire. Obviously, Cuzco being down here in southern Peru, it's Peru's there, and with these other cities relating to it, just to kind of give you an idea. And once again, we see here the actual empire itself. If you look at the dates here, 1463 to 1532, the empire did not last that long in the scheme of things, less than 100 years at its peak. So the empire was very powerful. They started around the 1400s. They settled in Cuzco, got some strength. Eventually they expanded, but come around 1530, they actually were starting to go to war with one another. So hold that thought. We'll talk about that near the end. Here's a video, or a picture of Machu Picchu, which we just talked about, so I'm not going to spend a lot of issues on it. All I have to say is, imagine getting to wake up every morning to that kind of a view. Very beautiful area. Hope to visit it one day. And another image of Machu Picchu.